Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Val and I'm so happy that you decided to click on today's video, which is going to be how to eat healthy whenever you are a broke college student. Now, I want to make sure to say that this is not particularly just targeted towards college students, but I do feel like the normal or, you know, the typical college student tends to be a little bit more money deficient than your average person. However, I'm not discriminating here. Ageism is not a thing on this channel. Hey grandma, love you the most. Thanks for being here. So with that, I'm just gonna go ahead and get started and share some tips and tricks of how I kind of ball on a budget regarding my food and what choices I make to make sure that that food is on the healthier side. I'm also gonna go over some things that you should not do, so big no-nos. And by sharing what I do think that you should do, I'm gonna show you everything that I have literally in this household right now. So let's start with my fridge. Alright, so going off of my fridge, I just want to make sure to preface with this is essentially what I get every single time I go to the grocery store. If I do still have some of whatever I'm going to be showing you left over, obviously I won't get it, but pretty much I use this on a weekly basis, and that price total for like the grocery store every single week is going to be about $30. So first of all, in the morning whenever I wake up, I like to have some coffee and I like to put some milk in my coffee. So I've got two different selections of milk here. I've got the Planet oat milk. This one's in the vanilla flavor. I really like this. I think it's absolutely delicious and it's a great way to make my coffee feel very creamy without actually having to put creamer in it. This lasts me even longer than a week and me and my roommate both use it, so this is great. Next, I've just got some unsweetened almond milk in the original flavor from Great Value, so this is the cheapest brand that they have. I highly encourage you to always look for Great Value brand, HCF, anything that is generic brand, because going for the generic brand is essentially going to provide you with the same product at a lesser cost. And if you're really feeling a little bit unsure about it, you can always check out the ingredients or try it, and then if you don't like it, you can go back to that original brand that's a little bit pricier. Next, I have got a staple right here. This is a tomato sauce for like pastas type thing that my grandma makes for me, and every time that I go home, she kind of gives me one and then I bring it here and then I use it accordingly throughout a week. Which brings me to a very important point. Take advantage of food that is gifted to you. Like if you go somewhere and they are giving away any sort of free food, or if you have a way that you could go to a food pantry, or if you have a good relationship with your parents and if they, you know, make food at home, maybe you can be like, Mom, can you make me those delicious pancakes that you always make? Oh, they're so good. I just want to take some to college. I'll put them in the freezer. These are pancakes that Sydney's mom made her. Absolutely do that. Up next, we are going to head down into my produce section. I've got some broccoli here. In this jar, I've cut up some peppers so you can't really see them, but pretend like it's a full-on pepper. Got some baby carrots, and then a mango, and this 50-50 baby spinach and spring mix blend that I use for salads. So for veggies and produce in particular, I try to go for things that are relatively on the cheaper side, or that I know that I can put into a lot of different meals, because since it is fresh food, it is going to expire or go bad in a very short period of time. So you want to make sure that you're getting something that you can easily put into anything, or that you'll just be sure that you're gonna eat up. That's called value. Value. So for example, with these baby carrots, I literally spend time cutting these into tiny itty-bitty thin slices so that I can make zoodles out of them. And I don't know if you guys know, but zoodles are essentially zucchini noodles, so very low calorie, high fiber, pretend pasta type thing, and then I'll mix it with my little pasta sauce, and it's so good, girl, I'm telling you. Yes, it does take more time for me to cut this all the way through rather than just buying it already prepared in pre-packaged zoodle packaging. However, I know that it's worth it, because if I just got these and I didn't make zoodles, or if I didn't use them and find creative ways to use them all up, I know that they would go bad before I was able to eat them all. Next example with these peppers, every single morning pretty much I have eggs for breakfast, and I'll typically put any veggies that I have on hand in small-ish quantities into my eggs to make it a little bit more fibrous of a breakfast. And then for lunch and dinner, I will still try my very best to incorporate lots of vegetables into both, whatever they are. So that may be like a rice bowl with some sort of protein and then vegetables, or maybe like for dinner I'll have some noodles, and then on top of that I'll have some veggies as well with a protein. You can really put vegetables into anything, so you just have to make sure that you can get them in there. Up next, I've got some organic tofu. This stuff is relatively inexpensive, I want to say, and this single packaging lasts me like at least to be honest with you, maybe like 4 meals. With that tofu, I tend to use it as a protein on top of like that rice bowl or those noodles that I previously mentioned as ideas for meals that I have here at college. However, in the past, I've even made breakfast sandwiches in which instead of an egg, I'll put some pan-fried tofu, like replacing the egg, and that's really, really delicious and good. I really like putting nutritional yeast and everything but the elote seasoning on tofu. That's a really great way to kind of spice it up without having to marinate it for forever. So if you're ever just like in a bind, I would recommend olive oil, everything of the elote seasoning, and some nutritional yeast. Mix that up, dip your tofu, and then either air fryer or pan fry. Up next, I have got eggs. I've already talked about these, but eggs are literally $1. Like this container in specific here in Texas is literally $1. Like, yes, this is a great value brand, and yes, this probably has less nutritional value than an egg that is, I believe it's farm something. I'm not sure. However, they do have a sufficient amount of protein and other nutrients that I think are important for my body. And on top of that, it is likely equally as nutritious, if not more nutritious, than an egg that you got whenever you go out to a whatever restaurant and get an egg there. Unless, of course, it's a very nice restaurant that specifies that they have all organic stuff and all these things. Sometimes I'll use eggs also in my noodles or in fried rice type thing. But yes, eggs are great. You should buy them $1 for 12. Up next, I have got this baggie which has 3 little chicken tenderloins left in it. Chicken tenderloins, I have found, are the most bang for your buck. It is a high amount of protein. They are very, very similar to a chicken breast, but they are significantly cheaper because it's not actually the chicken breast. The texture is really similar. However, I do recommend for chicken or any sort of meat product, you don't necessarily go into that lower range of generic brand. I have found that there's such a huge difference in even like 3 cents more per like pound or something like that, or per ounce. And so with that, I would say experiment and find the best value for whatever it is meat that you like the best. Mine's chicken, so I already know which one's the one that I like the best, because there does come a point where that quality of meat, you're not really gonna taste it that much, and as a college student, it's not necessary for you to taste it anyway. Like, you can save that for in the future whenever you're rich and you're like in your house and you can like taste the difference between like $10 chicken and $50 chicken. But right now, it doesn't matter that much, okay? And of course, this only matters if you really, really care about getting a high amount of dense protein in, because you could easily as well do any sort of chicken thigh or chicken leg, and those are also less expensive. However, those tend to have different nutritional values that do not abide by the ones that I want in my body, and that's okay. We can respect each other. You like chicken thigh, and I respect you. I think that that's a great choice, and if you want to do that for you, love you the most. Okay, up next, I've got this diet cheese. This was also a present. Again, if somebody gives you food, like, take advantage of that real quick. I am dairy free, and this is relatively a good source of calcium for my body, so I like these. I don't put it on everything, but recently I've been chopping it up into little shreds and then putting it in salads. I really, really like that. And that is quite literally everything I have in my fridge. Let's move on to my freezer so that I can tell you some things that are super duper important. So your freezer should be your best friend. You can buy things in high quantities. I know it's gonna be more space taken up, but hopefully you have a little bit of space that can be sacrificed for buying things in bulk. Something I like to buy in bulk is vegetables sometimes. So I bought this huge bag of kale. This is all kale, and I knew I wasn't gonna be able to finish this in just 1 week, so I put it in my freezer, and most of the time I saute this anyway. Like, I almost never eat certain veggies raw, so because of that, it's okay if I freeze it and then it stays better for longer and I don't have to pay for it or throw it away or waste food. It's really all a 10 out of 10 situation. So buying in bigger quantities and then freezing the quantity that you can't eat before it goes bad is a great idea on saving money and making sure that you can get all the worth out of the food you buy. Next, I have got these frozen blueberries. They're literally almost out. And as well, I've got some frozen strawberries right here. Frozen berries are really, really great for saving money. Fresh berries in general are relatively expensive, especially compared to other fruits. And buying them frozen really does give you a much more cheap option if you do really like these fruits. And personally, I find blueberries frozen are so good. I will take a frozen blueberry any day over a normal blueberry. Strawberries, that's a different story. But I mean, you can still get that strawberry taste in certain different ways. Like for example, with these, we like to put them in smoothies, or because they're frozen, sometimes I'll put them in my warm oatmeal and like I'll cook it with the oatmeal so then they soften up, and then also my oatmeal gets the strawberry flavor and I get to use my strawberries and get all the good nutrients from the strawberries in my oatmeal too. So yes, in particular, frozen berries are really, really great to have on hand. With the frozen blueberries though, I do literally put those on anything. Like I'll eat some cold for dessert, I'll put some even cold in my oatmeal, I don't even need them to melt. I'll put them over yogurt, I'll put them literally in whatever, like I don't care. I just love them, they're so good. Next, I got some frozen edamame. These are already cooked, frozen, so all I have to do whenever I do want to cook them is I just put them in a little bowl with some water, and then they immediately thaw out and I can put them in my salad. That's what I usually do, or I'll just use a little bit of them as some added veg onto a rice bowl or a noodle bowl. You can see that's pretty much everything that we eat in this household, just bowls full of random food. I mean, it's okay, it's just for a couple of years, like however long that you're in college, and then you can move on to getting HelloFresh and stuff. Yeah, recipes, yeah. The very last thing that I've got to show you here is another source of protein. I've got some frozen shrimp here. I love shrimp a lot, and in particular, having it frozen is really, really good because supposedly seafood is kind of sensitive and kind of goes bad if you do not take care of it correctly. So getting fish or any sort of seafood that is frozen can help you out in not getting sick, and as well having it for a little bit longer, and then you can eat it literally whenever and be super healthy, because seafood is a great source of omega-3 fats, and as well they have a ton of benefits for your body that a lot of foods don't. I've even heard before that they're anti-inflammatory, so I definitely really recommend eating fish and making sure that it is in your diet. And like I said, having it frozen is a great way to keep it on hand without having to use it all up in a short period of time. Ooh, this isn't mine, this is actually Sydney's, but I am gonna pull this out before we close the freezer and talk about this. Ground meat, particularly ground turkey. This stuff is relatively very cheap, and it can provide you with a lot of delicious meals. Personally, I like to ground this up and add it to that marinara sauce that I was talking about earlier, or because it's so flavorful, I'll have it also in a salad and kind of like bring a little bit more flavor into the salad, or you guessed it, on the rice bowl. And that has been my freezer. All right, we can move on to the top half of my pantry next. This cabinet and this cabinet are my pantry because we do not have a rear pantry in this apartment. Here we've just got some seasonings, which I will not go over, but this one in particular is my favorite. I love this stuff. It goes delicious on everything. Next, we've got some coffee. Me and Sydney tried to buy cheap coffee. This was 50 cents per bag, so this is great. Also, we have so much freaking coffee, we don't even know what to do with it. So, we're pretty stocked up with that. But if I had to say anything about buying coffee, I would say try to find a system that you can use at home to brew your own coffee so that you don't have to spend money when you go out. If you do like coffee and you like obtaining it when you go out, it is very possible to play around with your at-home coffee recipe and find a way to make it so that it tastes very delicious and makes you happy. We personally have this little pour over system right here. So essentially this is the container that we hold the coffee in, and then we use this little strainer on top, and then we put one of these filters on top of that, and then slowly pour over steaming water, and then coffee comes out on the other side. Of course you have to put coffee in the basket, but anyway. On to some more relevant stuff up here. I've got some oats. Oats are relatively very cheap. Like, you can get a lot of oatmeal for not that much of a price. So I highly recommend those two options that I have given for breakfast, either eggs or oatmeal. Very inexpensive, like really versatile, because you can literally add anything to your oats. Like banana is a relatively cheap fruit that I haven't talked about yet, but I am talking about right now. Like, these things are so cheap, it's insane. And then, like I said, the frozen berries that you can also add onto that. Then as well, you can literally add protein powder, make it protein oats, or as well you can add peanut butter, almond butter, any sort of nut butter at all to your oats to give them a different kick. And if you like chocolate chips, put some chocolate chips in there. Maybe one day you want to make a cinnamon bun oatmeal, just put cinnamon. Like, go off, queen. Make your oatmeal what you want. Not to mention that oatmeal has a ton of antioxidants and really great fibrous properties. Next, I have just got these hemp seeds. Hemp seeds and chia seeds and seeds in general are pretty expensive, I want to say. However, if you buy them in bulk, You can just kind of keep them in an airtight container like this, and they don't go bad. And by that I mean like they will last you 3 months-ish, I believe. It's great, they're great. You can put these on your oatmeal, you can put them over top anything. That's what I do. I really don't care what it is. These don't really taste like anything, and I know that they have an additional nutritional value, so these are great. Up next, I've got some chickpeas. Any sort of dried beans that you can get are probably one of the top 4 cheap and nutritionally dense foods that you can ever buy. So these just say garbanzo beans. They don't actually say chickpeas, but they are chickpeas. It's the same thing. Cans are a bit more expensive and they come in lesser quantities. So with this, I probably have made a full serving of these like 9 times, and I still have some left over. And fun fact, we cook ours in a rice cooker that's just right here. Highly recommend doing that. All right, final thing I'm gonna talk about here in this upper part of the pantry is rice. This is just some brown basmati rice, I believe. Buy rice in bulk. I know there's so many different options for how you can buy rice. You could get it like in microwave form, you could get it in pre-packaged single serving form, but if you get it in those larger quantities without all those extra little additions, it does come out very cheap, and it's still the same nutritional value. It's still, you know, maybe not the same convenience, but it's the same food. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the final part of our food intake in this household, and it is just this bottom section of our pantry. I've got a lot of miscellaneous items here, so does Sydney. We've got just some Cliff Bars, more rice, spaghetti. I've got this cereal right here. This was a gift. All this popcorn was gifts. And yes, I highly encourage buying pasta. You can find very cheap pasta as long as you're not getting like crazy stuff. Ravioli isn't crazy, but it's gonna be a little bit more expensive, or like tortellini, or like a high-end Target brand or a high-end imported from Italy brand. Like, get Barilla. Just get Barilla, and I highly recommend getting the protein one. It's a yellow box. I don't have some right now, but I definitely have to go get some. And essentially, because that pasta has a higher protein content, you don't necessarily have to add any protein to it. So you could just mix up whatever sauce that you have on hand, or maybe even butter, some veggies in there, eat that and call it a day. That's a pretty well-balanced meal. But on the other hand, if you just want to up your protein intake, like, go ahead, buy that one. Like, go off, queen. As well, there's whole wheat pastas. Those tend to be the exact same price as normal pasta. And now let's talk about the famous noodles I keep referencing. So I buy these noodles from this brand right here. It's called Thai Kitchen. These are brown rice noodles. Because they were made from brown rice, they've got that more amount of antioxidant value. They've got that higher fiber count by a little bit, and overall are just more nutrient dense. So definitely highly recommend these. These are about as expensive as a pasta thing, which I believe a pasta box is $2. Alrighty, my friends, so that has been a couple explanations of what I think is really economically efficient for you to get if you want to eat healthy. Like I said, all these things I normally get when I go to the grocery store, and it's about $30. Start off with the produce every week. Let's say I get 2 bell peppers, 1 crown of broccoli, 1 package of dozen eggs. I'll get 1 little gallon of almond milk, protein pasta box. We'll add in the chicken, the tofu, and then let's just say it's a week whenever we're low on something like olive oil or butter, and then we'll go ahead and add that too. 2 bananas and 2 apples, and let's just say we ran out of everything but the elote seasoning, so we'll add that too. This total hopefully comes out to around $30. I'm not sure if it actually does, but that is honestly about how much I spend every time that I go to the grocery store. I know you may have noticed that my fridge honestly does look a little bit empty, and not everything has the coolest foods, but it is food that gets me through the week. It's food that makes my body feel healthy. It's food that makes me feel energized and really good. Wait, I actually forgot to talk about nut butters. So I tend to keep 1 peanut butter and 1 almond butter on hand. These tend to last me about 2 months each, and me and Sydney both use them kind of sparingly. They're great to put over top oatmeal. If you have bread, I know I don't have bread, but sometimes in a blue moon I'll get some, and maybe in the morning I'll have some toast with peanut butter or almond butter as well. Sydney really likes to put these in her smoothies, so that's a great idea to do as well. And I keep saying that me and Sydney share certain foods. That's my roommate's name. I don't know if I've even said it yet. I think I have. But if you and your roommate do both use a certain food item, I would say split that price, or like maybe one person gets it one time and then the other person gets it the following time that you guys buy it. I will now take about 30 seconds to explain what not to do at the grocery store. Try to stay away from those extra happy, exciting foods. And by that, I don't mean like if you see a donut, don't get it. I mean like if you see something and you're like, oh my gosh, like this looks so good, but it's like not necessarily the smartest choice to make price-wise. I know I used to be like that. I'd be like, this looks so pretty, like I just want it because it looks pretty. However, every single time that you do get into the situation and you say no, like I'm gonna put it back, the more you do that, the more you train yourself and the more you practice saying no to those spurts of, oh my god, I really want this random thing that's more expensive that I really should not want, that I really do not need, the better that you're gonna get at it and the less that you're gonna buy those sorts of things. As well, you need to tell yourself and understand in your head that these lower prices are gonna mean a little bit of more work in the kitchen. They are gonna mean that the food isn't gonna be done instantaneously like this. And healthy food in general is kind of like that. It does require a slightly longer prep time. However, you should think of that time as time that you are investing in yourself, because it is literally you putting more effort and health into your own body. And I saw this TikTok the other day that was talking about how whenever you make your food, it is literally you putting energy into something good that you're doing to yourself. And so whenever you eat that food, it already carries that like extra energy of self-love, of appreciation for yourself, and of worthiness, because you believe that you deserve and you're worthy of good nutritious food and of better health and of doing something nice to yourself, like eating a good meal that you prepared yourself. And even as a side result, the more that you practice cooking, the better that you're gonna get at it. And cooking can be a lifelong skill that can be very useful. We do eat 3 times a day. I'm just about to get off my soapbox. I know eating healthy and eating at a cheaper price is more time consuming, but also it's a great opportunity for you to give yourself a little bit of extra love and better yourself from the inside out. Woo! I can't believe we've made it to the very end of this video. I'm so happy that you clicked on it. Once again, Mina has, whoa, what was that? Mina? Nope. My name has been Val. It has been since I was born. Thank you so much for watching. Love you the most. Subscribe, like the video. Please drink water, fuel your body. Know I love you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Friday for another Val video. Bye.